What is going on, everybody? It's Francis here for Unscripted episode number 94 for your Sunday afternoon of November 10th, 2019. I am recording this earlier in the day. Full Gear was last night. Hell of a show. There was no time for me to do Full Gear, watch it, do the review, and then sit here and do Unscripted for you guys just because I have to sleep sometime and I don't have I didn't have enough energy left to go for this, so I figured I'd go to sleep. Get as much sleep as I can. That didn't work out too well, but still get as much as I can to come in and do this for you guys today. Before we get into Raw, SmackDown, AEW, NXT, and of course we're going to do a little bit of the three best things coming out of Full Gear, I'm going to talk about something we started the show off with last week. As we know, coming out of Crown Jewel, there was some trouble for the WWE superstars. Most, if not all, got stranded in Saudi Arabia from things that we all were told that are different. Some things were told that WWE was owed money from the Saudi government and Vince McMahon cut the feed. I don't know if we can believe that because I don't think Vince McMahon has that kind of pull in Saudi Arabia. WWE puts out a statement, of course, pretty much touting that 20 people. It's not the fact that 20 people were sent out on a different charter flight. It was the way WWE portrayed it in a statement that got so many fucking superstars mad, and there's not top 20s going on. The hashtag not top 20 tweets going on. What this whole entire Saudi Arabia thing boils down to is this. We will never, ever know exactly what happened after the Crown Jewel went off the air. We won't ever. The truth will never come out. Saudi Arabia could have been pissed about the women's match whoever approved it probably wasn't up as high as they thought they were. The match went on, and then the Saudi prince was like, "Wait a minute, that wasn't worth our time," and they wanted to, and they had a problem with that. We could have a simple fact that Vince McMahon did cut the feed. We don't know. The Saudi Arabian thing will never we will never know fully what happened. It's one of those things that we will never know the full truth. Do I believe mechanical issues was the problem? Hell fucking no. The fact that this group of, the 170 some people who were stranded in Saudi Arabia were just stuck there, mechanical issues, which I'm sure these guys have ran into mechanical issues once or twice a year. And it might take them an hour, maybe two, to get onto a different flight and out to where they're going to next. But being stuck there for another day completely just doesn't pass the smell test. There's something else there that Vince McMahon and his cronies are not saying in the official statement. People are like, "Oh, you don't trust the official statement from WWE or the Turkish airline?" I'm like, wait a minute. The Saudi Arabian airline is controlled by the government. They're going to give you a bullshit statement that fits to what they want the narrative to be. So, there's any possible things that could have happened last week from Saudi Arabia. Do we know the full truth? No. Will we ever know the full truth? No. Anybody else still making speculation videos or trying to make anything else, just leave it alone because you're not going to ever find the full truth. Of course, going into Monday Night Raw, we were wondering how things would go. Would anybody speak up? There was a report that came out that they had a backstage meeting. WWE reiterated that it was only mechanical issues, which again, I don't fucking buy, and a lot of people from what I hear did not buy that. And apparently, Seth Rollins, during this meeting, apparently, from reports that Seth Rollins got up and he spoke out because he's the locker room leader and gave a rah-rah speech about just towing the company line, keeping this stuff off social media. That turned out to be totally false. Seth Rollins went way overboard, in my opinion, on just going out there and saying some he's lashing out. I know he's defending himself, that's fine, but you don't sit there and you're like, "Well, you're a vindictive liar," as he's talking to you about Dave Meltzer, who reported this. F4W Online decided they had to issue an apology because they were given false information. I understand that you have to sit there and defend yourself, but just don't go and blast it on YouTube, on Twitter and shit like that. If anything, here's a good idea. I'm pretty sure F4W Online or Dave Meltzer or whoever wants to report this stuff have open DMs and you can get or you have somebody in WWE who has this person's cell phone number. It's called, you get that number or you get their DMs and you talk to them personally. Just coming out and lashing out like you do makes you sound like a fucking crybaby and somebody who can't handle the goddamn pressure. People are going to say shit all the time, whether it's fucking the dirt sheets or just your local schmo down the street. So people are going to say shit. The way you react is going to paint you as somebody that people are not going to want to deal with. Seth Rollins has not looked good in a very, very long time, and it's mostly because he is cracking under the pressure of being one of those top guys. It's thankful that he lost the Universal Championship. I don't want to see him in WWE Championship contention either. We didn't want to see Roman versus Brock for the WWE Championship. I sure as hell don't want to see Brock versus Seth Rollins on the road to WrestleMania. We cannot have this again because Seth Rollins, as a clean-cut babyface, has got to be over. Another thing else that's not on my notes that I have to mention this. WWE did a double taping for Raw and SmackDown in Manchester on Friday. Makes sense because Monday Night Raw and SmackDown is not back-to-back days anymore, so you're not going to do back-to-back sets tapings for Manchester. So WWE does SmackDown, not a good show. Talk about it in a minute. But they tape Monday Night Raw. And on this episode of Monday Night Raw, they have a certain match. This certain match had to do with the Women's Tag Team Champions. Who were the Tag Team Champions facing last past Monday? They faced Charlotte and Natalya. Natalya wins the match by tapping out Asuka, if I'm correct. So, when we get to Manchester, who are the Tag Team Champions defending against? Charlotte and Natty? No. Charlotte and Becky. On top of that, on Friday, during the episode of SmackDown, WWE has the fucking balls to sit there and falsely advertise a match, acting like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen on Monday. Maybe there'll be an excuse on Monday that Natty's not here. They go and give you a match that for the Women's Tag Team Championships, and then they go and decide, we're going to falsely advertise this shit. Are you fucking kidding me? I've seen the results. I'm not going to go over them here. This show is, like, Monday Night Raw is going to be absolutely fucking boring. Outside of a few NXT invasions, which might lead to something interesting, nothing else on that show is going to matter. Now you have, Lana's going to have a confession. I will spoil this part because I'm not going to be talking about it on Monday. On Monday Night Raw, Lana's going to come out, tell you she's pregnant by Rusev because she's 9 weeks pregnant, and she didn't start having sex with Lashley until it was 7 weeks ago. Rusev comes out and says he's a sex addict. Lashley comes out, he's not happy. They brawl. Lashley leaves Rusev laying, and he carries Lana to the back. There, saved you about 10-15 minutes of boring. Monday Night Raw needs to end this fucking storyline ASAP. Speaking of Monday Night Raw, going into Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, and of course a little bit of the Full Gear. Monday Night Raw was the continuation of the so-called invasion angle of NXT and the build to Survivor Series. SmackDown last week, they were backwards against the wall. What did we get? Absolute beautiful television. I call it one of the best SmackDowns, if not the best SmackDown of all time. And what did we get this Monday? We got a main event of Seth Rollins versus Adam Cole, which you should be excited about. You should be like, oh god, these guys, and Adam Cole will confirm this, these guys have never wrestled each other before. Never locked up one-on-one inside of Wrestling Ring of Honor, or anywhere else. You should be excited for this match. I should be excited for this match. But it was felt forced. Adam Cole it just did not work. WWE doing everything they can to ruin this entire fucking storyline and angle. And how did you end this show? The only good part about the entire invasion thing was Becky Lynch was in the back being interviewed by, I believe it's Kathy Kelly. Or whoever the fuck it was. Shayna Baszler takes that person's spot, and then Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch has just an epic stare-down promo where they're just talking about how Ronda, like, they both say that they're going to keep an eye on Becky. They don't even see Becky, not Becky, but Bayley. They don't even see Bayley as a threat. And then you have them, like, Shayna Baszler, like, hey, you beat Ronda Rousey. She's my friend. We work together. But here's the thing. I'm not Ronda Rousey. And by the time Survivor Series is over, I'm going to make you tap or snap. So, just to face off, I can't do it justice. Nobody trying to recap that entire thing could do that shit justice. That was pretty much the only bright spot from that. Yes, Brock Lesnar got attacked by Rey Mysterio, and that's going to lead to a match with them in Survivor Series, which, quite honestly, I'd rather have Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio over The Fiend versus Brock versus Adam Cole. I just don't want to see that type of triple threat match. And then, of course, Vince McMahon had control over the entire show. Now, Vince McMahon is the guy who runs everything Raw, SmackDown, everything he does. Triple H had a lot more control on Monday, by far a lot more control on Monday than he did on Monday. He had a lot, like, majority of control on Friday last week. Going to Monday, this is definitely a Vince McMahon show. Nothing seemed to work. Everything was absolutely awful, and coming into Monday Night Raw, I was actually hyped for Survivor Series. I wanted Survivor Series to be an absolute awesome show. Continue this build, make these shows mean something, and make this pay-per-view mean something. As soon as Monday Night Raw, like halfway through Monday Night Raw, I'm like, man, Survivor Series is going to suck again, isn't it? I don't care about Survivor Series. I'm not hyped for Survivor Series. I'm hyped for NXT TakeOver War Games because we're getting 2 War Games match, even though I'm not really a fan of the entire Women's War Games match because of the fact that it just feels like that one is forced because they got to get it out of the way. It just doesn't work for me. But either way. Then, of course, we had... what was it? The Lashley, Lana, and Rusev angle will not end. Corey Graves has his podcast called After the Bell. It comes on Wednesday mornings. And I know his stuff seems all fucking, like, pre-reduced, like, everything he seems to be just reading off of the script. He just seems to be reading off of the script that him and his group just sit there and make for him. I don't do that. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. So, I don't know what to say about that, but he just feels like he's, like, disingenuous with half the shit he says. But even he went out there and said that this shit needs to end. Then you have Lana. You have Lana going on Twitter saying, I'm not just ravishing, I am ratings. Really, Lana? Really? Did you smoke some weed before you posted that? Because quite honestly, look at not this past Monday, but the week before that. You were in the worst rated segments in WWE over the last 10 plus years. Your ratings, though. Nobody wants to see this. And then, of course, I had some geek, some clown, some dumbass tell me on Twitter last week, Monday, oh, you should check out the YouTube numbers before you say anything. Again, YouTube numbers don't mean shit. They don't. I really want somebody to look at the YouTube numbers, look at WWE's ratings, and tell me where they correlate that the YouTube numbers mean anything for WWE ratings. Because I'm telling you right now, they do not. They don't, and they never will. So, WWE is still forcing this shit down our throat, making us wish we didn't have to deal with this. And it's just again and again and again and again more bullshit that nobody wants to deal with. Look at this. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown last week, when they had their backs against the wall, outside the first opening segment in the first match, was heavily NXT from start to finish. This week, on Monday, we got the Shayna Baszler thing, Seth Rollins being recruited by Triple H, which didn't work out too well, and then the match at the end and the huge Pier 6 brawl, which nobody cared about. Seth versus Cole could not save this show simply because WWE did not let it go to where it could have been a good match. Look at SmackDown. SmackDown with Dana Bryan versus Adam Cole started at 9:30. 9:30. And what happened? We had an excellent TV main event that goes up there with the Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle Iron Man match. I might be talking out on my ass, but of course I didn't have the attitude. I didn't have UPN, so I couldn't watch SmackDown during the Ruthless Aggression era to tell you that kind of feeling. But yes, that was an absolute awesome match. We get to Monday, and what do we get? We get a half-assed, forceful match that nobody cared about. So, WWE just, I cannot even, it's just Monday Night Raw has been that bad. Then if you, Monday Night Raw was bad, it gives you that stomach virus that you know you don't, that 24 hours virus. You ever had one of those, a 24-hour virus where you're just sitting there wanting to, throw up your chunks because you just can't deal with this shit. And the chunk, and you go to Tuesday, and if you watch NWA Power, AEW Dark, or Impact Wrestling, you get that feeling of that is the pill to save you from having to go through the rest of the week thinking about Monday Night Raw. If you skip Tuesday, then you go to Wednesday, and we have AEW, which had its first go-home show episode for a pay-per-view, which was Full Gear on Sunday. Not much really to talk about when it comes to, there was a botch in Trent, Beretta, and Pac's match. We'll talk about what was supposed to happen in that match and why that match went that way here in a bit. But speaking of Pac, the main event was Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. Having an excellent match here, then all of a sudden Page gets kicked in the balls by Pac, eats a Judas effect, and he gets pinned. But the biggest thing coming out of that show, of course, was the crazy brawl between the Inner Circle and the Elite. Jon Moxley made his presence known. Him and Kenny Omega were teasing the Brat and the Broom again. The Santana and Ortiz for some reason comes down and attacks both of them. Young Bucks come out and they brawl with them, brawling up and down. Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley do get some licks in on the Santana and Ortiz, which made me feel that they're going to have a tag team match against Santana and Ortiz soon. We'll talk about in a minute what might happen this week with Santana and Ortiz under the circumstances of what happened yesterday before we went on to Full Gear, which if this match was to happen, I think should happen and would be absolutely good for AEW to do this. But brawling left and right, everyone gets separated, and then they end the show by brawling again. Absolutely some of the most fun I've seen for a go-home show. The go-home show was fun. I don't know what they're doing with this whole Brandy thing. She gives you a fucking weird-ass promo about who's the bullies now. I don't know what they're doing with Brandy. I don't care what they're doing with Brandy. Can we just move on to something else? NXT. The OC invade. They take out the Undisputed Era. Bobby Fish, I guess, lost a tooth. People saying what he spit out was ketchup, but apparently he did lose a tooth from being hit by it and getting thrown into that by Luke Gallows. So if that's the truth, that's gotta suck. The Women's War Games match is becoming more complete as Mia Yim joins Team Rhea Ripley to team up with Tegan Nox, Rhea Ripley, and Candice LeRae. Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Shayna Baszler are on the other team with one slot remaining. I predicted this, that Mia Yim is facing off against Miss Io Shirai this coming Wednesday. A ladder match. The winning team gets advantage in the War Games match. Now, if I was to bet, I could see somebody, Miss Dakota Kai, who wanted to be in that War Games match more than anything, be part of history. Yes, Shayna Baszler called her a waste of a draft pick, which that's her own feeling. But Dakota Kai, I could see screwing Team Rhea Ripley out of the woman advantage in the match at War Games because it's a ladder match. For some reason, they went with a ladder match instead of just a normal one-on-one match. Makes it easier for somebody to come down and screw Mia Yim out of this match. What I think is going to happen is that Mia Yim is going to look like she's close to winning. I fully expect Team Rhea and Team Shayna Baszler to come out and try and make this even to each side. Dakota Kai makes her way out after everyone else has been the wrong way, and she just pushes the ladder over. Mia Yim goes falling. Io Shirai, she might, even Dakota Kai might just get up the ladder and win the match for Io Shirai back and getting the whatever they're gonna have, the contract or whatever, and handing it to Io, thus ending the breaking up Team Kick and bringing Dakota Kai to the dark side for this pay-per-view, and her being on the opposite side. So it'd be Rhea Ripley, Tegan Nox, Candice LeRae, Mia Yim versus Shayna Baszler, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Dakota Kai. I could be wrong. I just feel because Dakota Kai feels like she was slighted. She worked her ass off to come back from injury. She took Shayna Baszler to the limit, only for her spot to be taken by Mia Yim. She could be incensed. She could be jealous. She could be somebody who's like, I should have that spot, not you. I'm going to make you pay for that, and I'm going to screw you out of this match. One of the biggest things for NXT that is getting really, really obvious is that they are having a real struggle with both War Games and Survivor Series. You had AJ Styles and the OC taking on Matt Riddle, Tommaso Ciampa, and Keith Lee in a 6-man tag match. Awesome match. No finish, which was kind of sucked. But the end of the show saw Matt Riddle get hit with the Bloody Sunday. And then AJ's going for the Styles Clash, and Adam Cole hits him with a super kick. And immediately after that, hits Tommaso Ciampa with the last shot. WWE, it's going to be really hard, as I've said before in other videos. Survivor Series for Raw and SmackDown is easy. They have to build to one show. NXT is a challenge because they have War Games and Survivor Series that they have to work through. So just trying to find time to build 4 War Games and Survivor Series at the same time is starting to become very, very taxing for NXT. And I know it just started. We have 2 more episodes of NXT to get through before we get to War Games and we get to Survivor Series. So I don't know if there's enough time for them to build for you to be excited for both. I'm excited for War Games just because it's a fucking War Games. I really don't care about Survivor Series. OC invading, it was what it was, and it was great to see Kyle Anderson, Luke Gallows, and AJ Styles make their NXT debuts, their in-ring debuts in NXT, and they felt like they were the biggest stars. They honestly felt like they were, like AJ Styles for sure felt like he was the biggest star on Wednesday night. He did. Even with Adam Cole being there, AJ Styles still felt like he was the biggest star. SmackDown, oh SmackDown, oh SmackDown. The biggest one-hit wonder we saw was SmackDown last week, back against the wall. Excellent show. Greatest show, best show of the year for Raw with SmackDown combined. Baron Corbin is the very first thing that you saw. And what did he do? Made a fool of himself, made a fool of WWE. They had him making dog jokes, making dog shit jokes, poop bags. God. Like, just right then and there, if people switched off the channel, I wouldn't have been shocked whatsoever. This show was fucking embarrassing from start one. You had the tag team champions. Oh, WWE on Monday advertised the Undisputed Era versus the Viking Raiders versus the Revival. Triple threat match at Survivor Series. The crowd, the wrestling world was in awe. We're going to have 3 of the absolute best in WWE's tag team divisions going at it for brand supremacy. What does WWE do? What does WWE do? Let's have this tag team title match that was supposed to happen last week, happen this week, and have the Revival drop the tag team titles to who else? The New Day. A team that has held the titles 6 times prior, are the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE history. Do they really need the tag team championships again? No. If it would have been Heavy Machinery, I probably wouldn't be as mad, because I think Heavy Machinery versus the Revival versus the Undisputed Era, well, not Revival, but the Viking Raiders versus the Undisputed Era might be a nice touch. But the New Day again? It's just no. No, come on. And another thing that I just don't get. We had some NXT Invasion, but we had NXT UK of Imperium. Marcel Barthel, Fabian Eichner, Alexander Wolf, and Walter attack. That was it. Nothing. They attacked, disappeared. They were nowhere to be found. They will be on Monday Night Raw. I'm not saying how, I'm not saying where, but they will be on Monday Night Raw. And quite honestly, I don't care. Shayna Baszler attacked Bayley again. Who fucking cares? It was the same thing they did last week. Just no jumping knee kick, jumping knee to the face. And that was it. That's all you got from SmackDown. You had Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin in the main event. Do you want me to talk about that? Because quite honestly, I don't care about Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin in the main event. I'm sorry, I just can't. It's boring. Corbin is his own. It's like WWE obviously doesn't think before they book. It's like, oh well, Vince is like, wow, I wanted Corbin versus Roman last week in Saudi Arabia to stop that from happening. I'm getting it this week, damn it. I want the New Day to be tag champs going into Survivor Series. I want it now, damn it. And Vince McMahon gives us another show that was just as boring as 2 weeks ago on FS1, the week before that, the week before that, the week before that, the week before that. Last week was a one-hit wonder, and honestly, if they would have replayed that episode, it probably would have got the same, it probably would have got a bigger rating. It probably would have got a bigger rating than it did the week after. Moving into Full Gear, which did wrap up last night, the three big takeaways for me are Riho needs to lose that Women's Championship ASAP. I just can't do it. I cannot take her seriously as a champion. And I'm going to say this now, I'm going to be brutally honest. Riho has been booked as strong as she is, and is a women's champion for one reason and one reason only. She's not because she's the best, it's because she's Kenny Omega's pet project. She is Kenny Omega's favorite. That is it. You cannot tell me that Riho is the best you have to offer for the women's championship. You have booked this woman over everybody else just because she is Kenny Omega's favorite. I don't give a shit if she's the most talented woman in the world. I can't believe her as a fucking champion. I cannot believe her as a fucking women's wrestler. Honestly, Nyla Rose should have went out there on October 2nd, hit her with a couple power moves, and pinned her 1, 2, 3. The fact that they had Riho hang with Nyla Rose and beat Nyla Rose was unbelievable. Her beating Amy Sakura last night was unbelievable. Riho, Rey Mysterio, it's like, oh well, Rey Mysterio is a small guy too, but it's totally different. Rey Mysterio can hold his own. Riho just doesn't come off as a believable person to hold her own. I just can't believe her as a wrestler. I can't. The biggest talking point, of course, well, the second biggest talking point is MJF turning on Cody Rhodes. A lot of people are saying this was way too early. I disagree. I honestly think, and besides, the low blow to Cody Rhodes wasn't where he turned heel. He turned completely heel when he threw in the towel to cost Cody Rhodes the match and his chances to ever be the AEW Heavyweight Champion again. How they booked this to be able to get Cody back into that, I have no idea. But as of now, Cody can no longer. And it was just so funny to see him kick him in the balls. Fans go absolutely like crazy. Somebody threw water at the guy. It was like liquid at MJF, and he's just soaking it all in, knowing that he is going to be taken to a whole new level because Cody is the man. The man when it comes to telling a great story, wrestling great matches. I can't wait to hear what MJF has to say, if he says anything. I can't wait to see what Cody says on Wednesday in Nashville. Everything is going to be absolutely awesome. But the biggest talking point, for sure, is that final match of the night. Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, the lights out match. They go to war, they beat the hell out of each other, they bloody each other. A lot of people. There was someone who actually tweeted out, hopefully Jim Cornette and the AEW fan base can band together to outlaw garbage wrestling. First off, if it's not your cup of tea, if you're watching on a television or if you're watching on BR Live, there's a really easy thing. You hit the back button and you exit the pay-per-view. You did not have to watch Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley. Did you not see the video package they had where you saw Jon Moxley from his CZW days covered in blood, putting people through glass, putting people through fucking barbed wire tables and shit? Are you people really complaining about this shit? This is Jon Moxley. Dean Ambrose was a dead act in WWE. He came out here, showed you what he's going to do. He fucking warned you and AEW what he's going to do, and you're gonna bitch about it? Are you fucking kidding me? This was absolute fucking awesome. There was nothing wrong with this match. If you're sitting there whining, complaining, bitching, and moaning because Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega went out there and ripped themselves to shreds, you need to get your head examined. If it's not your cup of tea, they put it on last for two reasons. One, because there was no way anyone was going to follow it. And two, if you did not want to see it, if you came to see Cody and you wanted to be done with the pay-per-view after that, they told you this did not count, this wasn't a part of the main pay-per-view, the pay-per-view ended at Cody versus Jericho. If you're sitting there watching it, bitching and complaining, it's your own goddamn fault because you didn't have to watch the match. Was it brutal? Yes. Was it nasty? Yes. Was it just outright insane? Yes. Was it awesome? Hell yes. Do I expect to see any more lights out match this year? I hope the hell not. I think this is something they need to peel back a little bit. Yes, this is the third lights out match they've had. All three have been completely different. Joey Janela versus Kenny Omega was not as brutal as Jon Moxley versus Janela or Jon Moxley versus Omega. Jon Moxley versus Janela was not even as brutal as this match was. These matches happen like this, and if you don't fucking like them, you don't have to watch the match. From Proud and Powerful versus Young Bucks to Cody versus Jericho. If that was your entire pay-per-view and you turned off the pay-per-view after that because you did not want to watch this match, good on you. That's more power to you. That was, if you took Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega lights out of the equation and just watched from Proud and Powerful to Jericho and Cody, then you got yourself a hell of a pay-per-view. If you watched Jon Moxley versus Omega and you loved it, good. I did too. If you didn't love it, that's on you. If you want to bitch and complain about this, it's on. Then here's the thing. Next time they say lights out match, here's a good idea. When that match comes out and you have Justin Roberts saying this is a lights out match, turn it off. It's not that fucking hard. It's amazing how people are bitching and complaining that this match happened and how this match happened. Get a fucking life, people. You bitch and you fucking complain week in and week out about Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, or Friday Night SmackDown. They give you something different and you continue to fucking complain. Stop complaining. It's find something that you like. If you love Cody versus Chris Jericho, which was an old school instant classic of a match, then good on you. If you love the tag team match between the Young Bucks and Proud and Powerful, good on you. If you love Riho versus Emi Sakura, good on you. Don't fucking bitch and complain about a match that was absolute fucking great. People just, I swear, AEW strives to try and give you something different than WWE, and you people still find something to complain about. If you want to complain about AEW, then don't watch AEW. Watch that shit in Monday Night Raw. Watch that shit on SmackDown Live. Watch Baron Corbin have a fucking dog and a animated dog head that looks like a fucking killer of a dog, looks like a chihuahua, hold up dog poop bags and cut a promo on, oh, you're gonna grab your doggy poop bags, you're gonna pick up the shit that Roman Reigns leaves when I kick his ass. Come the fuck on. AEW gave you a great fucking show last night. They gave you a little bit of everything. If you don't like Moxley versus Omega, then get with the program and don't fucking watch it. They gave you They gave you 6 other great fucking good to great fucking matches. Watch those. Then say fuck it. I'm not watching this because I don't want to see that. Viewership for Monday Night Raw went like this. Largely held steady at 2.13 million viewers according to Showbuzz Daily. Raw's hourly viewership went from 2.35 million in the first hour to 2.21 million in the second hour to 1.85. Last week's Raw averaged 2.13 million viewers during the 3-hour broadcast, which is down 2.3% from the previous week. So basically, it went from 2.31. I think it went from 2.31 to 3.3 to 2.312 or something like that. It was close. It was down, but barely down from last week. Raw had the benefit of following Friday's SmackDown, which featured several surprise NXT stars, with much of the roster being stuck in Saudi Arabia because of quote-unquote mechanical issues with the plane. Raw also faced some stiff competition, though, in the form of Monday Night Football between the NFC East rivals Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants, which during the time that Monday Night Raw was up against Monday Night Football, that game was actually pretty close. It didn't get out of hand until Raw was off the air. Monday's edition of Raw was largely built around Triple H's attempt to recruit Seth Rollins to his side for NXT. Rollins beat Adam Cole by disqualification in the main event championship match for the NXT Championship when Undisputed Era interfered, and it led to a massive brawl between NXT and Raw, which was absolute garbage. You had a PS6 Raw on AEW on TNT on Wednesday that showed you how to make a fun, good brawl, and then you had what you had on Monday, which was absolute just garbage. Many of the NXT stars who appeared on SmackDown were part of the Raw as well, including Undisputed Era Tommaso Ciampa, Matt Riddle, and Keith Lee. Dominic Dijakovic and Damian Priest made their main roster debuts as well. Also, the interview segment featuring Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch, NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler interrupted and vowed to make Becky tap during their triple threat match, which includes Women's Champion Bayley for SmackDown. WWE Champion Brock Lesnar and his advocate Paul Heyman opened the show by explaining the decision to quit SmackDown and go to Raw. They discussed the intent to hunt down Rey Mysterio. He F5'd Dio Madden and ended up getting beat up by Rey Mysterio with a lead pipe. I still kind of find it funny how people think it was a rolled up newspaper. It was a lead pipe. Do nobody remember what people used to use back in the day? It's called a lead pipe. It wasn't a huge lead pipe, but it was a lead fucking pipe. The unpredictability that comes with NXT involvement in Survivor Series should continue to be a factor next week as the build to Survivor Series rolls on. I highly doubt it because everybody knows what's already happening. See, SmackDown got taped 2 or 3 hours before that went live. So those ratings might not have been affected because maybe people were at work when those results went live. They didn't get home until about the time SmackDown was to start, so they don't know what's going on. Everybody's going to know what the fuck is going on with Monday Night Raw when we get to Raw. If this is not the lowest rated non-Harley episode ever, if they have anything other than 1.9 or lower, I will be fucking shocked. If you actually see what's going on, anybody who wants to watch Monday Night Raw and let's see what they have for Monday Night Raw when it comes to this NXT shit. Don't. Go to your local dirt sheet, whichever one you do, Wrestling Inc., Wrestling News, PW Insider, F4W Online, anywhere. Go to any of your dirt sheets and just look that up, because what they have there is going to be atrocious. There will be some heated competition as the San Francisco 49ers will take on the 7-2 Seahawks. As you know, the Niners are undefeated, so that should be definitely a ratings decline for WWE for sure. Hopefully people see what they did on Friday and be like, well, Raw's worth missing this week. Without competition for the MLB World Series or playoffs to worry about, both AEW and NXT on USA had a bounce back on Wednesday night. AEW took home the win, but NXT had one of its best nights since the Wednesday Night War began. Per Showbuzz Daily, AEW checked in at 822,000 viewers with a .35 rating in all-important people. The all-important 18 to 49 demographic. NXT netted 813,000 viewers. Good for a 0.30 rating in the 18 to 49. Overall, AEW took the home 8th place in the 18 to 49 demo, while NXT jumped all the way up to 12th place. 2 NBA games on ESPN, American Horror Story on FX, South Park on Comedy Central, and The Real Housewives of New Jersey on Bravo round out the top 5 for Wednesday night on cable. NXT's big move this week was the show's most watched episode since October 2nd. AEW made the comeback as well, but only saw small gains in both overall viewers in the 18 to 49 demo compared to last week's season's low. NXT has been on the air on USA since September 18th. They started at 1.118, and then they just kept on declining. This is their first jump since they came onto the USA Network. AEW, this was, of course, the first jump as well, as they've been doing declining as well. AEW, here's the thing, a lot of people did mention this, is that if you would have had AJ Styles, if the show on Monday would have ended instead of that brawl, you would have had the OC, who were on NXT, say, well, Triple H, if you would have had Triple H's guys get, it was like the brawl ended, but Triple H and his guys were back up on the ramp, and AJ Styles and the OC were in the crowd and in the ring saying, Triple H, you want this war? We'll come to your backyard and we'll see you this Wednesday. AEW probably would have suffered its first loss in the ratings, as people would have been more excited about the invasion. Going into NXT blind, not knowing if for all we knew, the invasion angle would have been dropped and nobody would have showed up because everyone else was in Manchester and England because they were doing their England tour this week. So for all we knew, they could have just had NXT, and that was it. And no response from Raw and SmackDown this week. It wouldn't be a response until this Wednesday, which would have been a very bad idea. Yes, having AJ Styles and them on there made a bit of a difference for NXT. Here's something that people need to talk about, and they don't seem to, outside of probably the people who have the smartest brains in the room. In the 90s, you had Monday Night Raw and Monday Nitro. You had the Monday Night Wars. Back then, when the ratings when Raw was when WCW was kicking Raw's ass, and WCW started to go on its decline, and people were leaving WCW, they weren't just leaving WCW to go watch something else. They were watching Monday Night Raw. If people were like, oh, this isn't a good episode of Monday Night Raw, let me go see what's going on with Nitro, then that would happen. People would flip-flop back and forth. That's not happening here. It's been proven multiple times that the flip-flop is not happening. Because if that's the case, AEW actually started out pretty fucking hot with a 1 point something viewer rates in the first 15 minutes, the first hour of that show, and then it steadily declined from the Brandy Rhodes promo on. AEW, it's like in NXT, didn't get those viewers. People just like wrestling is not like it was back in the 90s. But people are not going to flip to one show to the other. If AEW, and it's another thing that has to do with like the DVR or NXT when it comes to the network the next night. Just because AEW's on, if you're watching NXT, maybe you're like, I'll watch this later when it comes on the network. Or if I'm watching AEW, it's like, I have a DVR, I'll watch it later. I'm going to go watch something else. I'm going to go do this. Hey, the Bulls are playing, I'm going to watch that. Oh, the Raiders are playing, I'm going to watch that. It's just NXT and AEW. Honestly, in my opinion, NXT and AEW are on a very bad hill decline. Because ask Impact Wrestling, when they got forcibly moved to Wednesday nights on Spike TV, they lost a lot of viewership. Wednesdays nights, for whatever reason, is the death night for anybody to be on TV. The fact that AEW stayed as high as it was in the ones to start off. They started off in one, didn't they? Yeah, they started off in the ones for the first 3 weeks. It's surprising because like I said, Impact Wrestling was on Wednesday nights at one time on Spike TV, and that killed their rating forever. They never recovered from that going back to Thursday or any other night. Wednesdays is one of the hardest nights to get ratings for TV when it comes to wrestling. It just is. But AEW this coming week is going to be interesting because it is the fallout. MJF turned heel. Moxley and Omega. You have what's going on with the Inner Circle. Inner Circle did beat. The Inner Circle had a much better night than the Elite did, having only Hangman Page win for the Elite. It should be interesting to see what they do on Wednesday. Wednesday should be a lot of fun. SmackDown did see on the overnet, we won't know what's going on for SmackDown until we get to tomorrow. But the overnight drew a 2.617 million viewers. according to Showbiz Daily, Hour 1 drew 2.725 million viewers, then Hour 2 dropped 8% to 2.510 viewers. SmackDown also drew an average of 0.85 ratings in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is number 1 for the night. This is up 3.9 from last Friday's SmackDown, which drew an average of 2.520 million viewers with a 0.8 ratings in the 18 to 49 demo. SmackDown was 7th on the night among the networks in viewership. It came in behind 2020, Hawaii 5-0, Magnum PI, Blue Bloods, The Blacklist, and Dateline NBC. Blue Bloods topped the night at 7.362 million viewers. Final ratings will, of course, be out on Monday. Speaking of Monday, the recent call-up for is actually gone from the brand already, as Catalina Garcia made her main roster debut on October 28th episode of Raw, teaming alongside Sin Cara. The two feuded with Andrade and Zelina Vega in the next 2 weeks afterwards. On the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, it was reported that Catalina is already gone from Raw brand. She was not with Sin Cara at the latest Raw tapings in Manchester, England. She was brought in only to work with Zelina Vega. Andrade and Vega defeated Sin Cara and Catalina in mixed tag team action this past Monday. Reported with that feud over, she is no longer needed in the main roster, but will still be working in NXT. She should not have been brought up at all. She recently signed to NXT, and quite honestly, she was not good. She needs a lot of time in the Performance Center. She was nowhere ready to have a match on Monday Night Raw. She was nowhere ready to be used on Monday Night Raw. It was a useless waste of space, and quite honestly, I hope she becomes improved and becomes one of those people that they would actually groom for something later, but we will have to wait and see. It was just not the right time for her. Speaking of NXT talent being groomed for main roster push, before NXT headed to the USA Network, Dave Meltzer reported on the latest Wrestling Observer News Radio that Baszler was being groomed for a major star on the main roster for 2020. With NXT's big changes, everything is out the window in regards to plans for NXT stars. As more top stars may be kept there to help the brand, WWE reportedly thought very, very highly of Baszler, in part due to her dominant NXT Women's title run, and plans for her main roster were significant. As we saw, Baszler did ambush SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley on SmackDown on Friday. She is scheduled to be the captain of the first ever Women's War Games match on November 23rd. The match lineup is nearly set. Rhea Ripley and Tegan Nox, Mia Yim, Candice LeRae versus Baszler, Shirai, Bianca Belair, and a partner to be announced. I'm picking to be Dakota Kai, because quite honestly, Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir do not belong in War Games. They are nowhere near ready for War Games. But I don't think Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox either, but it's not my call. But if I had to say, I'd say probably Dakota Kai screwing Mia Yim out of that match on Wednesday. She'll also be going up against Bayley and Women's Champion on Raw, Becky Lynch, in a triple threat match. What caused a botch ending between Trent and Pac at AEW this past Wednesday? It was an excellent match. This was an absolute fun match, except for the ending, which made no sense. What the hell happened? This past week's AEW TV show, Pac defeated Trent using his submission, the Brutalizer, after a botched pin attempt. Pac originally landed his Black Arrow off the top rope. Referee Bryce Remsburg counted to 2 and then stopped, even though Trent didn't kick out of the pin. In Wrestling Observer Newsletter, it was reported that match was expected to go longer, although with the commercial break coming up, it was caused a bit of an issue. Trent and Pac set up to finish the match using the Black Arrow, but Remsburg wasn't aware that that's where the match would stop, causing the awkward ending to the match. After Pac jumped on the mic and taunted his Full Gear opponent, Adam Page, Wrestling Inc. And so here's the thing. This is something that WWE has implemented about 4, 5, or 6 years ago. WWE has set this precedent in refereeing, and they need to do the same thing in AEW. WWE has had, for the last few years, had their referees call a match as a shoot. The referees don't know the finish to the matches anymore. Their job is to go in there and go 1, 2, 3. If the person is supposed to kick out, then they kick out. If they don't kick out, and they're supposed to kick out, and the match goes to 1, 2, 3, then that's on them. If that person's, like, the only time that has been botched was in NXT when Eva Marie was wrestling a jobber, and Eva Marie did not kick out fast enough. The referee stopped his counts. And the NXT faithful, you don't want to do this in NXT because the NXT faithful who were there knew that Eva Marie was supposed to kick out. The referee blatantly stopped, and they all fucking booed. It was not a good sign. But yes, AEW needs to have a rhetoric that you call a match to a shoot. It is a responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the referee to say, "Hey, kick out, kick out." No, it's the responsibility of these wrestlers to kick out when they're supposed to. If they don't kick out, you call it to a shoot. So you don't have parts like that where you have the referee just, "Whoa, is he supposed to kick out? Isn't he supposed to kick out? And I'm just going to stop my count." No, it makes that look absolutely shitty if the referee decides, "Hey, he should have kicked out, so I'm going to stop the match. I'm going to stop counting." It really looks bad. One final thing here before we get out of here, AEW has announced their first ever list of top 5 rankings for the week of November 8, 2019. One for the women, one for the tag team, and one for the men's division. Looks like AEW champions will not be included in the rankings, which they should not be. Rankings including some stat for the match records and recap, Vice President Cody Rhodes, and a media call. The rankings will be released each week. In my opinion, that is not a smart idea. The rankings should be at the end of the month. So they're going to be on Fridays. You have 4 episodes, or 5, depending on how it goes, 4 episodes of AEW's TNT show to go through. And on that, say, the rankings they have, say the first one they had for the 8th, just for the hell of it, we don't get another one until the 9th. That's going to give you at least a couple weeks to see where these go and to see how well everyone does. But they're going to do weekly. The women's before Full Gear, this is all before Full Gear. For some reason, I don't get how Emi Sakura was even the number 1 contender. She had a 1-0 singles record. She's now 1-1, and an overall of 2-2. She's 2-3 now. Britt Baker has a singles record of 2-1 before the pay-per-view. She's 3-1 now, and an overall record of 4-2. Now she's 5-2. Why she wasn't number 1 contender and Emi Sakura, who's had 4 matches, was your number 1 contender is beyond me. Sakura Shida was 2-1 singles and 3-1 overall. Ali 1-2 overall, 1-2 singles and 3-2 overall. And Nyla Rose, who has got her first singles match win a couple weeks ago, who is 3-1, 1-3 singles and 2-3 overall. Tag team, we have Pentagon Jr. and the Lucha Bros, who were 4-2 overall and 5-3 overall and 4-2. Phoenix, they have them that way, yeah. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, they were both 3-2 overall and 3-4 overall and 3-2 in tags. The Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, are 3-2 in tag teams and 6-3 overall. Before the pay-per-view, of course. The Dark Order, Stu Grayson and Evil Uno, they were both 2-2 overall in tag teams and 3-2 overall. The Best Friends were... This one's a little different because Trent was in tag team. They were both 2-3, but Trent is 3-5, and Chuck Taylor is 3-4. So, in the men's, Cody was first with a 3-0-1. Trio, I don't know why they had trios here for all the men's. I don't get that. Trios, he's 0-0, and he's 4-1-1 before the pay-per-view. Pac as well was 3-0-1, Trios 0-0, and 3-1-1 overall. Hangman Adam Page was 3-2 overall for singles. Did not have a trios match, and he's 4-4 overall before the pay-per-view. Kenny Omega 2-2, 2-1, 5-4. Jon Moxley was 1-0-1, 0-0, 1-1-1. Now, the problem I have here is you have Hangman Adam Page, who is now 4-2 in singles matches and 5-4 overall. Kenny Omega is 2-2 in singles, 2-1 in trios, and 5-4 overall. So, if you have Kenny Omega and Pac and Hangman Page pretty much having almost similar overall records, well, they have the similar overall records, how do you determine where Hangman Page and Kenny Omega are going to be? Because Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley just had a match that doesn't count. Pac ended up losing. Does that mean he's going to be 3 next week, or is he going to be 2 next week? Well, Cody lost. Where is he going to end up? Is he going to drop to 2 or 3? I wonder how they're going to do this. And honestly, I just don't see how this is. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Again, I don't think weekly is a good idea because it's okay, so coming up, and also it has been confirmed that in Nashville this week, Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho will challenge SCU for the AEW Tag Team Championships. So we're going to have ourselves an interesting way there. That could be the first time that Chris Jericho loses any type of match. He is undefeated overall. He hasn't lost a tag match, hasn't lost a trios or whatever type of match, hasn't lost a singles match. Sammy Guevara could be the reason that Chris Jericho has his first official loss in AEW. Hangman Page, I don't remember. I haven't seen his scrum yet. I believe he made a challenge for something as well. But apparently he's going to have a match as well. I don't remember what Tony Khan said it was. But those matches will be happening this coming Wednesday, so look forward to those. But I am out of time here. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of what I talked about today. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for a lackluster, boring episode of Monday Night Raw. If you miss it, I don't blame you. So then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.